Can you tell me a little bit more about the Fetterman Massacre?
It wasn't a massacre. It's a fight. Definition of massacre is helpless and unresisting, leading to atrocities. It was atrocities, but this was a true group of people that came out with guns. Okay, so the Bozeman Trail is a trail that is a shortcut to the goldfields in Virginia City, Montana. The story starts in 1851. The government promised never to go north of the Oregon Trail. They just wanted to get to Oregon. However, in early 1860s, John Bozeman and a bunch of men found gold here in Virginia City, Montana. They said, John Bozeman himself did not want to work. I don't want to do that, but I can make money charging people to come along this trail. Kept running into the natives who were saying, hey, we got a treaty here, go back or give us all your flour and keep going. The government got involved in 1866. They assigned Colonel Carrington to establish safe passage. There were 3 forts, Reno, Phil Kearny, C.F. Smith. Phil Kearny was the largest and the command post. It's the only one with an interpretive center. They assigned no forts within Montana because this was Crow land. And Crow had already aligned with the federal government. The story goes that the Chippewa pushed the Lakota out of Minnesota. The Lakota came and pushed the Crow north. And then the government went to the Crow and said, hey, we'll help you get your land back if you help us. So that became the alliance between the Crow and the U.S. and the conflict between the Crow and the Lakota. These are meant to be a day's ride apart. Didn't quite work out that way. 2 company at Fort Reno, 2 company at Fort Smith. Fort Smith is right there by Montana. I'll give you a better look at this. Okay, so this is the pamphlet that you get. It describes the 2 significant battles that happened over the 2 years they were here. In the inside, this is, and I'm doing it that way, I apologize. We're here at the visitor center, and this is what the fort looked like. In Wyoming, where there are trees, there is water. When you walk down here and see the trees, this fort goes all the way down to those trees. 17 acres. The top bench was military, 10 acres. Dimensions 600 feet by 800 feet. They got here Friday the 13th in July. They dedicated the fort on Halloween. The big battle was on winter solstice. In order to build this much fort in 3.5 months required 90 wagons, 6 mules per wagon. That's 540 mules. That is the woodcutters. Most of the contractors are woodcutters and teamsters. The staging area for the woodcutters was Wagon Box. They called it Wagon Box because they had taken 17 boxes to make a corral. That was for safety and supplies. The mules were all out here in this meadow. So each day, 45 wagons went down here. It's now the town story to harvest the wood. The other 45 wagons came to the fort, to the sawmill, every single day. Those were teamsters. It was the soldiers building the fort, Company A, Company B. By September, the stockade was built and then all the buildings went inside. There is a diorama over there that shows you what it looked like on October 31st, the dedication day. All the floors are dirt, all the roofs are sod, except the Colonel's house. The Colonel's house is 2-story, 2 fireplace, slate roof.
What was the Colonel's name?
Colonel Carrington.
Okay.
And again, he was the man designated to establish safe passage. He was not going to be the commander. They believed that Fetterman was going to be the commander had he had an opportunity, which he didn't get. So the first battle, again, December 21st, that's the Fetterman fight right along the Bozeman Trail. The Indians think that's it. You know, we've killed them all. 81 men were wiped out in 45 minutes. It didn't happen. The forts were still here. No gold miners were using this trail. The gold miners' way they would, this upside down, right side down. Okay, the long way would be to portage up the Missouri River to Fort Benton, Montana, and come south. But the forts are still here, and the Indians are still saying, get out of here, get out of here. On the second year, there's a 2-day campaign. They attacked the hay gatherers at Fort Smith on August 1st. They attacked the woodcutters at Wagon Box on August 2nd. It's a different kind of fight. The standard issue when they first came here was the muzzleloader. It was surplus from the Civil War. That's all the government had. Just before this fight, they received a new gun called the Second Allen Converter. They put a sleeve in it. I'm not used to it. Put a sleeve in it and made it a breech load. Load, shoot, load, shoot. You could get 7 shots off in a minute. It is not a repeater, but natives knew that gun existed, did not know these guys had it. Their intent when they came to Fort, because when you go to Wagon Box, it's out in a big meadow. They'd attack, you know, and then they knew there was the 2 minutes of loading a muzzleloader. Instead, it's rapid fire. So this fight ended because the man at Pilot Knob, the highest point of the South, could see the smoke, signaled down at the fort. They sent out a howitzer. That's the end of the Wagon Box fight. Forts are still here. How does this finally close? In '68, the Transcontinental Railroad was all the way to Green River, Wyoming, just damn near Utah. So the government said, well, this is the best and safest way. Take the Iron Horse across to go straight north, making the Bozeman Trail obsolete. That's when they did the Treaty of '68 that says this is your land from the Bighorn Mountains to the Missouri River, as long as there's buffalo to sustain you. And they lived happily ever after. These are your pamphlets.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the Fetterman Massacre?
It wasn't a massacre. It's a fight. Definition of massacre is helpless and unresisting, leading to atrocities. It was atrocities, but this was a true group of people that came out with guns. Okay, the week of the battle, the natives, their winter digs were on Tongue River. The week of the battle, they have a warrior camp out at Prairie Dog Creek. It's 2,000, including women and children. The day of the fight, I have a relief map I can show you in there. Do you want to see it on the relief map? The attack?
Sure.
Okay. The day of the fight, a small group of natives attacked the woodcutters, the last train going out. Fetterman does not muster out to the west. He's going to go around to the east, come up this valley, come around and by God, get these Indians once and for all. He gets right down here. When you go there, you'll see a stop sign and you can see through the trees there, this saddle right here. And here are the decoys. That's 2 from each group. There are 4 major groups of natives that have come together. Of the Lakota Nation, it's Ogallala and Minneconchu. That is Crazy Horse, Red Cloud, and Hump, High Backbone. He is a Minneconchu. Primary fighters for this 2-year campaign were Crazy Horse and Hump. But this was Red Cloud's vision. We are not sure Red Cloud was here this day. We do believe through oral tradition that Crazy Horse and Hump were here. There's a man that teaches at Sheridan College. He is 5th generation Hump. It's his great-great-grandfather that fought with Crazy Horse. That's our documentation. Oral tradition, however. So the decoys take them here. They come up through this saddle. They get them strung out here. The ones out the farthest are Wheatley Fisher. Those are the 2 civilians that have the Henry repeaters. You don't normally invite individuals to come to the battle, but they had the best horses, the best guns. They probably did the most damage. It's oral tradition again that Crazy Horse was seen taunting and coming through there. Cavalry mostly gets out here. We have ballistic information, so they shot in all these directions. It becomes mostly hand-to-hand combat. Fetterman himself, foot soldiers. There's only 27 horse-mounted cavalry. By the time Fetterman gets here, he knows he's in real trouble. He starts to return, comes back this way. There's a big hill right here. When you go out there, you'll see a valley that goes down there. When they disappear into this valley, that's when the Minneconchu line up here and kill the rest of them. We killed 22. That's their oral tradition. We believe that's how many died there. So who is here? 60% of the population are immigrants. Irish, Italian, German, Polish, Northern Europeans. They're recruiting in New York City and New Orleans as they got off the boat. Here's your uniform, serve for 2 years, become a citizen. A lot of them didn't speak English, didn't know how to use a gun. That's what we had. The other 40% are Civil War, probably went home to no home or no job and re-upped. There were women and children here. General Sherman said, bring your wives and kids. Yeah. We hear it's beautiful out there. We don't know anything. And to Mrs. Carrington, the colonel's wife, keep a diary. We want to know what's going on. So the first book we have is Margaret Carrington's diary.